He's the home voiceover studio engineer to the stars in Los Angeles, California. A Virginia Tech grad whose knowledge of the latest recording gear is second to none. He's a voice actor and the home studio master, hailing from Buffalo, New York. His home studio skills and knowledge of voiceover recording is unmatched. When Dan and George talk shop, people listen, and the talk continues tonight. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. And now, live from his high-tech facility in Santa Monica and his penthouse studio in Buffalo, here are George Whittam and Dan Leonard.
Good evening. I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East West Audio Body Shop. Hey.
I love that.
All right.
Different every week.
I know. Happy Mother's Day, all you moms out there.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah, your mom's there. Now, usually our tradition is to have our moms on Mother's Day. Unfortunately, my mother got a new computer with Windows 8 on it. And you know, with anybody over the age of 70, if they got Windows 8, they now have a big box sitting there.
I would say
or a laptop.
Over the age of 40, actually.
Well, yes. You'll notice I'm not using Windows 8 or Windows period. No. So my mom was like, it's all right. It's just going to stress me out. You just go have your show. Okay. You know, I'm there.
Good.
I'm like, okay.
Don't need the stress.
I know. But your mom is there.
She is here. Fortunately, she had a heck of a
Not
spill.
much. Not by much, though.
She had a heck of a spill, apparently. My dad, my brother, and I went to the weirdest museum I've ever been to in L.A., called the Museum of Jurassic Technology. And while we were there, I get a text from my wife as we were leaving saying that your mom had a spill. She's resting. She's okay, but she scraped her knee, she sprained her wrist, and hit her head. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, which is really bad timing because we're going to Disneyland tomorrow.
Right.
But the first thing she says when I come home is, at least I get to use the wheelchair tomorrow. You know, that's what comes to her mind. So I love you, Mom. I'm glad you're okay. But that's a good spill. She fell off of a 3-foot high wall down onto a concrete sidewalk. Chasing after a ball, no less. 60 something years old and chasing balls down hills. You know, you got to love it.
Wow. A little bit of road rash there, apparently.
Yeah, she's okay. She's okay.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get to talk with her in a little bit because that's our tradition. It's Mother's Day.
She will be here.
Yeah. And of course we appreciate our moms because if it weren't for them, this would just be a blank screen right now.
It'd be a very boring show of just noise. What do you want to watch, cheese or snow?
Yeah,
obscure
really.
Movie reference. Sorry.
Yes. Well, tonight we have another special guest. Well, this is no longer a guest. This is part of my repertoire. I got a 416. Can you hear the difference? It's
very present, and it sounds like you're in my head almost.
I am in your head. Your worst freaking nightmare.
And I'm using one too, just because I don't have them. I don't own them, but I'm borrowing one, and then a client gave me one to repair. And I mean repair loosely. I put a screw into it.
Yeah.
That was my repair. Anyway, I happen to have one, so we figured, what the hell? We'll both be on a 416 tonight.
That's right. Now, I have discovered I don't use one of these and here's why. I mean, if we just shove this on here. Well, I haven't got that on. So you're all getting this. What the hell is he doing?
Great.
Okay. Does that sound any better? Peter Piper picked a peck of it makes no difference, does it?
No, it doesn't matter because if you're using the mic correctly, you can't pop it anyway. You're not. You don't talk into the front of it like this. You know, it sounds extremely overly present.
Right.
You know? I'll talk about that a little bit, actually.
Okay,
yeah.
that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
So anyway, so people are wondering, well, how did the Pirates of Penzance go? Well,
yes,
first
how
off,
did it go?
We sold out opening night, and it's a great show. It sounds fabulous. It looks really great, and I think probably by next Sunday matinee, I might actually know the words to some of the stuff, and maybe some of the staging and stuff. But you do have a picture there. Marcy, my wife Marcy, and I are doing the show together. This is
Right.
the first time I haven't done a show in 25 years. She's been doing a few Gilbert and Sullivan things over the past couple of years, and I got jealous. I'm like, okay, let's do it now. So this is the first time we've actually been able to be on stage together. But somebody took a picture of us backstage. Can you throw that one on there?
It's on, man.
Okay. Yeah. You'll notice that as couples have been married a long time, they tend to start resembling each other.
The look on your face, your wife's face is priceless, man.
Oh, well, you should see the show. 'Cause we actually have a confrontation on stage, which is actually kind of cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we have a great soprano who's in this. I mean, this isn't us. You might say, oh, is this community theater? We have a gal who is she's playing Mabel, which is the female lead in this, and she's a magnificent. I mean, the control on this gal's voice is like, like Beverly Sills, and she's like standing right next to me. It's just amazing to listen to. It adds a whole lot of class to this production. So if you happen to. I think she's from our area here, but but other people auditioned. Imagine how intimidated they were when they heard her.
I love it.
Anyway, but we're having a great time. And if you happen to be in the Buffalo area, we still got 4 performances: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday afternoon. Come on down to the Alleyway Theater in Buffalo. People in Mendocino are going, yeah, sure. I'm coming all the way to Buffalo for that. Anyway, we have a great show tonight. It's already been fabulous, but we still got a whole show ahead of us. Our guest tonight is Anthony Mendez. He'll be joining us in a little bit, and he's in the New York area, and he's a big time promo and voiceover guy, but he is multilingual, so he does this stuff in all sorts of languages, and he's a great guy. So that'll be a very interesting
a family
interview.
Man.
Absolutely, and definitely
also a family man.
We'll talk a little bit about family.
Yeah.
But so aside from all the excitement with having your family there all week, what do you have for this tonight? You said, I don't know what I'm going to talk about.
I was actually going to ask the chat room. I was going to make my portion of the show here be open season on George. Ask George anything, and I'll see if I can answer it. Until we get some good questions that pop up in the chat room, I was going to go a little bit further into using a 416. And this is true for any microphone that you use, but one of the biggest trouble that you guys have as voice actors in general is mouth noise. Mouth noise is really a challenge, and we've all talked many times on the show about how we deal with mouth noise. And so, I figured we should really talk about what it is that helps mouth noise from the mechanical or the microphone technique side of things. We've talked about how to use lubricants for the mouth, warm room temperature water, and Dan's alcohol, and my neighbor's dog. Oh, wait, no.
That doesn't help.
All those things. And, what about microphones? Well, I think one thing that happens, especially when using a microphone like a 416, is it is extremely directional, right? So whatever that mic is pointed at, it's going to hear extra well. And so the sound of your voice comes out of your mouth, but it also radiates from your face, your throat, your chest. It comes out of a large area. But the mouth smacks and clicks and those little things that come out of your mouth, which you're probably hearing quite nicely from my own voice, those are coming from inside the mouth, right? So if you have a 416 or any kind of a super directional microphone, if it's pointed right into your mouth, well, then that's what the mic's going to hear. And so you're thinking, well, what if I don't point it at my mouth? Isn't it going to sound kind of muffled? Well, at the end of the day, you can actually point this mic a bit off axis from your mouth. It doesn't have to be right at the mouth. So right now, it's actually, if you can see on camera, pointed slightly below my mouth. But it's picking up some mouth noise, but it wasn't nearly as bad as when I had the mic pointing right in the middle of my mouth. It's a lot more present when the mic is pointed right in the middle of the mouth. So I find, slightly off axis works really well. Slightly to the side can work really well. And some people find that straight down the middle and pointed down towards your chest can work well. But just recently I had a weird problem come up where a client had the microphone directly overhead and pointed down from above, which is kind of the way this mic is used on a movie set. If it was on a boom pole, it'd be suspended from above you. But what ended up happening was his clothing rustle was a problem. Because now the microphone, being the 416, having a narrow pickup and having a pretty good reach, it was picking up his clothing, not as well as the voice, but it was the clothing was actually starting to compete with everything else. He started to become pretty obvious. So, the clothing choice you wear in the booth, which is actually a topic we've probably never really, you probably have mentioned it when talking about noise, but clothing choice in the booth is pretty important. The microphone can hear clothing incredibly well when it's pointed at it. So maybe having your microphone pointing directly down at your clothing isn't the best idea if you don't have the quietest clothes. So wear t-shirts, wear loose, either very tight t-shirts or things that are very loose fitting but fully non-synthetic materials, and that's going to help tremendously. Do you have a certain thing you like to wear when you're in the booth, Dan?
Usually I'm just wearing a t-shirt. I mean, unless it's really, really, cold out, which it does get here. Yeah. And I might be wearing a sweatshirt, but it gets warm in the booth. And so I keep it to a t-shirt. I do find that the right material Hawaiian shirt does very well. So, and I have a few of those. Yeah, but not
polys. I think
no polyester.
Yeah,
and that's certainly a problem for the ladies more than it is for the guys, because we just toss on t-shirts and it's cotton, it's comfortable.
Well, if you're working in a home studio, no, you don't have to get all gussied up. You don't have to doll yourself up. You don't have to impress anybody. Just get in the booth, be comfortable, and wear very simple clothing. A couple of questions. It looks like they have popped in. Paul Warwick VO said, "Can you do the chest point with a large diaphragm cap condenser? Basically, a large diaphragm condenser mic like this one."
That would be way off axis, probably.
So here we go. Here's the 3035. So yeah, you can't. I mean, any condenser, any microphone that's directional, whether it's a shotgun mic or a large diaphragm condenser mic, is somewhat directional. So if you do point it down towards your chest, it can make a difference. It just won't be quite as obvious. I don't think it'll make as big a difference with this microphone. Let me pivot the camera a little bit. I don't think it'll make as big a difference with this microphone if it's pointed down at the chest as it will with the 416. Just because of its nature, of its pickup pattern, it's picking up a wider range of frequencies over a wider range around the microphone. Oh, look who it is. It's Ella Bella. Hi, Ella.
Right.
What's going on? Uh-oh, Ella wants mama. Mommy went to her yoga class. And nobody else is minding the store, so to speak.
Oh.
Hi, Ella.
Grandma and Grandpa are there.
Grandma and Grandpa are here. You want to say hi to everybody? Say hi, everybody. Are you sad because Grandma and Grandpa aren't here? I mean, Mama's not here? Aww.
Oh.
That's a sad thing to see on Mother's Day.
That little girl of yours gets better looking every day.
Aw. I'm sorry you're sad. Here, why don't you go with Grandfa, and then you can come on at the end when Grandfa and everybody else comes in to say hello. Is that okay? Yeah. Here we go. I'm going to give you Grandfa, okay? Okay, you can take this. She's going to take this little whistle, and you can blow it all you want in the other room. Follow Grandpa.
That mic works great.
Lock the door on the way out, Dad. My dad's taking care of her. So so mic position. I think it'll help. I think it'll help pick up chest resonance if it's pointed at the chest, just like any diaphragm or any directional microphone will. Another good question. Let's see. I'm looking for question marks. Question mark.
Steve has a Steve Tardio.
Yeah. Any kind of EQ settings that work best on the 416? None.
It's this good.
No EQ. I mean, because that's the EQ of the mic right there. And if you're not using a 416 and you want it to sound a little bit present and have a little bit of a upper mid-range boost,
it already is.
It's built into the microphone. So there you have it. But yeah, you occasionally need some EQ. I mean, I find myself not adding anything with the 416, adding boost on anything. I usually find myself cutting some frequencies, especially if you do end up having a considerable amount of sibilance with your particular voice for whatever reason. Then I find myself notching out some sibilant frequencies, 8,000, 9,000, whatever. But yeah, no, it tends to be one of those microphones that sounds EQ'd, right? Straight out of the box. Because it's not a flat mic, but the EQ curve of the factory EQ curve, as Dan pointed out, is designed to make the voice kind of pop out. And
it's showing that again.
Yeah,
there,
show it again, Dan. Oh, there it goes. It focused. Awesome. Hold it real still. So yeah, you can see that from about 5,000 to about, well, even above 10,000, the frequency response increases by about 5 dB. And that's a pretty considerable boost of frequency response in that range. But that's what adds presence and kind of makes your voice cut a little bit, gives it that little bit of more forward, aggressive sound. And we end up having to add that frequency on some microphones because it's not already there. But in other cases, with some voices, we may have to back that off a bit. It could be a little bit too prevalent. With a large diaphragm mic, is it better to position it above the level of your mouth or on the level with your mouth?
Yeah.
I think it depends. A lot of these positioning things really depend on how the mic matches your voice. And when you work a mic more off axis, say if you raise the mic above your head more. So let me switch back to this mic. So now I'm on the 3035 again. So if I raise the mic above my head, I still sound pretty present, but there's nowhere near as much top end. It sounds a little bit more, I don't know if warm is the right word.
You sound like you're in the room, whereas the 416, it's you.
It's like a laser. Yeah, it's like a laser beam. It focuses in on my voice, whereas the 3035, it's picking up more of the room, more of the noise. I think that's a big thing. A standard condenser microphone, which is cardioid, hears more room noise in general. So that makes a definite difference. 416 versus a used 415. I hear they are very similar. Yes, they are very similar. I have a 416, and don't assume that if their 416 has a silver or nickel-plated body like this one, don't assume it's a 415, because they did make the 416 in this nickel color as well, which is the case of this one. But this 416 is a T-powered 416. So that means it needs an adapter to work with a standard mixing console, because it doesn't run on phantom power. It actually uses another gadget, this thing, which adapts from 48 volts to T-power. So if you were to use it with a MicPort Pro, you'd have all these things plugged in together. And now it's almost like a pool cue.
Yeah.
It's so long.
It's like a Bangalore relay. For those of you from World War II that might know what I'm talking
exactly.
about.
What about the 48 volt Phantom? Should it be shut off when the mic's not in use? I don't think that's that important, but I mean, if you're not using the mic for more than a day at a time, then yeah, I would cut the power to the mic or shut down your equipment in general.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need to shut off the mic. A couple more, a bunch of questions popped up here. What about if you don't have a mic boom stand? Well, if you're not using a boom stand, get a boom stand. It's so much easier to position the microphone, adjust its position. Dan, are you using a wall-mounted boom, or you just have a floor boom in your booth?
No, I got a floor T boom in here.
A floor boom in there on your desk. Is that also a floor boom? Right now, where you are?
I'm at my desk, but the floor boom is completely separate. My philosophy is never put a desk or a mic stand on your actual desk. That it should be isolated and floor mounted or on the floor, completely isolated from the desk. And that seems to I've heard a lot of difference in sound when you do that. A lot of guys are like, well, I've got this humming noise. Well, it's your computer, or it's this or it's that. It's vibration coming through the desk. If you put it on the floor, you're isolating yourself much better, and that solves a lot of problems.
Mine is actually on a studio, like radio station style arm, as you can see here.
Yep.
And it is mounted to my desk. But I'm also using a high-pass filter to take out rumble and bass frequencies because, I'm doing a show. I don't need all that stuff. And actually, most voice actors don't need all that low-frequency pickup. All right, 2 more questions real quick. Phantom power should be off. Okay, no, we did that one. Are the prices similar? I guess that's between I'm not sure.
Between the 416 and the 415?
Well, 415 is discontinued. That mic was the 416 replaced it. So if you find a used one, the 415 will usually be cheaper than a 416 used. That's why people still buy them. But they still sound really good too. And can you use it with an Apogee 1? Yes, you can use an Apogee 1 with a 416. Absolutely. Works great, no problem. It'll be fun. Yep. All right. That was fun. Thanks for helping me come up with a good topic for the first part of the show.
That's why I'm here.
I didn't have anything, so I thought, let's just wing it, see what happens.
That's right. All right. Well, we got a lot more coming up. It's our Mother's Day show, and Anthony Mendez will be with us in just a couple of minutes. And we got a lot more coming up, like Tip of the Week. We're going to talk about troubleshooting tonight. So you stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
So what else are you planning on doing tonight? I thought so. Now back to East West Audio Body Shop with Dan and George.
Yeah. I mean, you left brunch behind and all the family stuff, and now it's your time here at East West Audio Body Shop. Mm-hmm. I think most of our audience is like, it's my Sunday night thing to do, and they just sort of run, sort of like what we do. It's like, close the door. And we're here to help you out with your home voiceover studio and voiceover stuff in general. Mm-hmm. But right now,
just sit back and relax. It's time for some announcements.
All right. Announcements. Hey, you've got a webinar coming up this week.
Oh, man, it's here this week already. I got some work to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, gee, now if you only knew what you were going to talk about, then you really have something.
I do know what I'm going to talk about, but it's time to get into the nitty-gritty details. But anyway, the webinar is about the iPad recording process. How do you record when you travel? Or is your iPad your best recording device that you already own and you just didn't know it? I'll be talking about the pros and cons of working with the iPad, but more so just the whole workflow of working with an iPad when doing voice work. How do you read the script? How do you mark it up? How do you switch back and forth between reading script and recording? How do you deliver the file? How do you receive files? All that stuff. I'm going to try to stuff all that in about an hour and a half, and then have a half hour at the end to answer questions rapid fire style. So should be good. May 15th. You can grab the info on the voiceover. There's an iPad. Very nice. You can grab info over at voiceoverextra.com. We'll have the link in the show notes. It's kind of long, but if you Google it, you'll actually find iPad webinar voiceover George Whittam. You'll find it. Anyway, so that's coming up May 15th. I hope you guys can join us.
Should be fun. It's 2 years. We said a year ago. We still got a few months to go, and everyone will be doing it only on an iPad.
We'll see.
Or their Android device.
Or Android, that's right.
Or whatever else comes next.
Yeah,
it's going to be the holographic little thing that comes in your watch.
I know.
And it's all going to be totally virtual.
That'd be fantastic.
I know. Let's see. Oh, our survey. How many of you got a survey? Raise your hand.
Anybody?
Anybody?
Did it even send out? I'm not even sure if it even made it out, did it?
Okay, well, we'll get the survey out this week. We have a marketing survey for the show. We want to hear what you guys think about it, what you want improved, what you want us to keep.
Oh, you know what? You know why it hasn't gone out yet? Because we were going to use SurveyMonkey, and then Tony Gettig noticed that we could do a better survey just using Google Docs. And I volunteered stupidly to do it, which is why it hasn't gotten done yet.
Well, you've been a little busy this
Yeah,
week.
like what was I thinking? Yeah, no problem. I'll squeeze that in this week, you guys. So it's coming soon, I promise. You'll get an email, or it'll be actually not an email. It'll be in the Facebook group. One way or the other, you'll see it, and we really appreciate any way you guys can help us out by shaping the future of the show.
That's right. Along with, we also need to support the show financially. When we started off, it was like, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that, and then we had the commercials, and then we had to start paying for the time here on Ustream. So any help you can give us, we've had a couple of great donations, and if you want to donate to the show, right above George's fully head of hair, as opposed to mine. Remember, bald guys never have a bad hair day. But right above George's head, there's a donate button if you're in our EWABS.net page, and just click on that, and you can give us any amount you want.
Anything
$10, 18, 36,
333,
333, whatever. Some of you have been exceedingly generous, and we really appreciate it. It makes a big difference and allows us to do this every week.
It was funny when we started the show on Ustream. Ustream has matured and changed over the last 2 years too. Is when we first started, they weren't doing those advertising those ads weren't popping up, and so we had to roll with the changes and be able to pay for that. So thanks for helping out everybody that does every week, and thanks to, of course, our sponsors like Harlan.
Yes, and VoiceOver Extra, and maybe some new people.
We have some things in the works, so
that's right.
Stay tuned on that.
Yes. Studio Suit, it's still there. And you can have it in your studio. A lot of people saw it at FaffCamp, and apparently some higher echelon people were quite impressed with it.
Nice to hear.
Yeah, Anthony was manning the booth there for me, and lots of people saw it, and so he reported. Our good mutual friend Chris Courier, if any of you know Chris, who's the rep for Sennheiser, we have to have Chris on the show one of these nights.
We do.
Came in apparently. Now Anthony will have to explain in the chat room exactly what happened, but apparently he walked into where we had our Studio Suit booth set up, and apparently it dropped the level of noise from that hall a considerable amount, to the point where he was like, I would have liked to have seen the look on his face when all this happens, but 10 dB, it lowered to 10 dB. That's a significant. Now that's just noise rejection and that sort of thing. And this thing is all about dampening.
Right, exactly. So, that's just a side effect. In other words,
that's right. It has sound transmission resistance that some of the other products don't. Certain foam type products, certain U-Haul type products. We won't get it.
Exactly.
All right. But anyway, go to VOStudiosuit.com for that. And like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And what's our Twitter? EWABS Show?
EWABS Show, yeah.
_ show.
EWAB _ show. Correct.
Right.
Mundo.
And please subscribe to us on YouTube, because that really saves us money and allows you to access all of the shows we've ever done, all 94 of them.
I made a playlist. I did, and I actually embedded that playlist on our website. So if you go to ewabs.com, you can actually see that playlist that I assembled. It has every show, because I had stuff on my personal YouTube account, and then I had stuff that I started putting on EWAB's account after about 40 episodes. So I made one massive playlist that has every one of them in one place. So
yes, and of course Diane Costello Merritt, of course, reminds us that we haven't talked about the swag at all lately.
I know
it's still there. You can still get coffee mugs and T-shirts, and the legendary notebook covers, iPad sleeves. We have it all, and
that's shop.ewabs.com.
Shop.ewabs. Okay, that's where you go.
Okay,
all right,
moving along.
Boy, it's at the bottom of the hour already.
I know. We gotta get
Anthony Mendez. Anthony's like, they said like half an hour.
Rambling.
Right. Well, because we talked a lot about your stuff here. But let's get into my tip of the week. Let's talk a little bit about troubleshooting.
And here you go.
property to enterprise level. Exit.
Hello? Yeah? All right. Is it plugged in? Oh. Yeah, I get that a lot. Troubleshooting voice-over recording chains isn't rocket science. Unless, of course, you're on the International Space Station. No, really, when things go wrong, there's a logical pattern to follow to find the problem. Remember, we call your recording system a recording chain. There's an order to how your voice gets on your computer and how it comes out again. First, your voice hits the diaphragm of your mic. The diaphragm vibrates from the sound waves hitting it, and that converts that to mechanical energy to analog electrical impulses. The microphone sends those impulses down your mic cable, all the way down to your digital interface. Inside your digital interface, it takes those electrical impulses and turns them into ones and zeros that your computer can understand. The ones and zeros then get sent down a USB cable to your computer, where they're routed to your recording software. Your recording software manipulates those ones and zeros to your liking, and then, when you hit playback, the entire system is reversed. From your computer to your USB, back to your digital interface. It's taking those ones and zeros, converting them back into analog sound, which then sends them to your monitors or your headphones. Troubleshooting involves finding a weak link in the chain between each component and each individual link, which is one of the cables. And the same goes if you don't hear any playback. There's a connection between your computer, back to your digital interface, and then the connection to your speakers or headphones. Any one of those links or each one of those components could be where the problem is. Clearly, there's lots of things that can go wrong with individual components, but the first place to check is your connections. Check your microphone connections. Make sure that they're clean, make sure there's no dust, things along those lines. Take them apart, put them back together a few times. The next part of the chain is your digital interface, and there's lots of things you need to check there. You want to check your mic connection. Make sure your mic levels are set. The mic line switch is right. Most importantly, is your phantom power set on or off? And check to see that your output dials are set loud enough. In my experience, solid-state components rarely go bad, except cheap ones. If checking connections, cables, dials, and switches doesn't solve the problem, the next place to look is your OS and software. Go through the logical progression of input and preferences in your operating system. Look for audio levels. And if things aren't getting that far, something isn't set up right there, or the problem is somewhere earlier in the chain. Most of the time, it's a simple checkbox not marked because of some change in your system, like a software upgrade, prolonged downtime, or your OS decided it just didn't like your setting and changed it on its own. Clearly, there are other and more complex reasons your voice doesn't come in or out of your digital audio chain. But to find those faults, you have to follow the logical progressions in each direction. And that's my tip of the week. Yeah, I mean, it's like plug in your mic. You're talking into the wrong side. It's always something extremely logical. Everybody thinks it's this big mystery. It really isn't. But, if you're having a problem, you know where to call.
That's right. EWABS.com is the first place to go. And if you can't find the answer on our show, then look us up. VOstudiotech.com for me, and Dan's
homevoiceoverstudio.com for me.
There you go.
All right. So anyway, Anthony Mendez is going to be with us in just a minute. So stay right where you are. Take a swig. We'll be right back.
Radio Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
Welcome back to EWABS. We were expecting you, but we still didn't bake a cake. Here's Dan and George.
Yes, it is our Mother's Day episode. This is our third Mother's Day together.
That blows my mind, actually.
You know, so 94 episodes. And our 94th episode guest is a great voice guy joining us from Jersey, Anthony Mendez. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop.
Thank you. By the way, you guys don't look a day over 90 episodes.
Thank you.
Well said.
Well, we totally appreciate that. So, now you're a fascinating guy because you do a lot of interesting things. What sort of things have you been working on lately that we'd all be familiar with?
CNN. We just did the inside the Jodi Arias trial, which was Friday and Saturday night. I think these things go by so fast.
Oh yeah.
They changed the time, of course, because with the kidnapping, of course, that kind of bumped the Arias trial to second place. So
right.
Kept changing the time. So stuff like that. I'm doing a weekly HBO Sports Minute, which is their national radio promo. Everything that's sports in 60 seconds.
Nice.
I get 45 of those 60 seconds to speak about 55 seconds worth of words in there. Yeah, so that doesn't change at any level.
Doing any commercial work or?
I don't do a lot of commercials. No, there's nothing that other than my regional car dealer spots and things like that. I'll do some concert touring stuff, which it's great because it's quick work and it does add up at the end of the year. So. But commercials, those come, I do on average 1 to 2, maybe 3 national network spots a year. And those, I'm still waiting to be the voice of, a campaign. That might not happen since that's not really where my focus is.
Right.
But I won't turn it down, of course.
Yeah. We find that when the less you resist something, the more apt you are to get that stuff. It's like, I can go do without it, and the phone's going to ring the next day.
That's true. And the funny thing is, the more you want something too much, and you get the same effect. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's some universal law of some sort.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where are you from originally, Anthony?
I was born in the Bronx, raised in uptown Manhattan, Washington Heights section. And my parents uprooted us when things got too hot there and moved us over to North Jersey. And I've stayed here in the New York metro area for all of my life.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Cool. So how'd you get into doing voice work?
I used to want to be in the music business. And,
me too.
Those hours were just crazy. So I set up a studio, engineering, and I used to do the demo tracks. Let's say an artist had a deal or a second album deal with the label. They owed them a couple of songs. The artist on the second deal, they were able to negotiate some of their own songs. They would come to my studio to demo it and then pitch them. I used to also mix for vinyl. And from there, those hours, I used to get home at 4, 5, or 6 in the morning. And that's not very conducive to starting a family. So
no, it is not.
No. So I started producing radio commercials during the day. And the guy from the radio station used to come in, start laying down the tracks, and he went on vacation for a couple of weeks. Thank you. And
how often do we hear this?
I tell you, they say, "Why don't you do it? You have a nice voice." And of course, I was horrible by national network measures, but it was a local club, nightclub that ran on Saturdays. They said, "Oh, we'll keep you as the voice of the club." I was like, "Okay, now I can go out and get an agent." Yeah, that didn't happen that way.
How long ago was this?
This was, let me see, I left my day job in 2002 thinking I was going to be a big-time engineer. And then in 2004, I kind of discovered voiceover 2005. So it was about 2004, 2005 that this happened, yeah. I got bit by the bug.
It happens.
Yeah.
You get this big welt over here.
Huge. And then it spreads all over your body. It's horrible.
It makes your head bigger. It's pretty amazing stuff. So what kind of stuff were you doing when you first started out?
We did local nightclub spots. My best friend from college was a club promoter and concert promoter, and we kind of negotiated something for me to have a studio in their back of their offices. As long as I produced their radio spots, they allowed me to stay there for free. So at night, to make up the money, I used to just rent out my studio with me as the engineer to local hip-hop artists. And it was mostly, hip-hop on vinyl. They called them dub plates at the time. And club and night concert spots. And so that's basically what it was. It was, high turnaround, low pay, adds up. And I realized in order to get that agent, I needed to take acting classes. So that's when it really started. I'm talking about losing money.
Right.
Not making it yet. Yeah.
So how did you get into doing some of the larger network stuff?
Through my agents. I always knew that, I didn't get into this business to negotiate and do stuff on my own. I knew they had the long-term relationships. As we know, any business is about relationships, and obviously they have 10, 25-year relationships with some of these people. I'm not going to just walk in and pitch my stuff to any of them. They don't know where they are, who I am. So I figured it had to be through agents. So my agents at the time said, your voice would be great for promos and trailers. And I booked a couple of MTV things out the gate, and they said, okay. I had no idea what a promo was, and it wasn't until a couple of years later that I had to do it to picture anyway. So I just, I said, okay, the commercial arena doesn't want me. Apparently, they keep going with lighter voice guys more, with the average guy next door, which I'm more like the guy down the street.
So you started to train to do actual voiceover. Who'd you train with?
Before I started voiceover training, I was taking a scene study course in New York with Mary Boyer, MTB Studios. Then I did Edge Studios because they came up first in the Google searches. So I said, okay, let me go there. David was great in getting me started, getting me directed where I fit in. He was the one that made me realize, you have an accent. You have some sort of regionalism. I said, no, I don't. He said, yeah, you do. So I said, all right, fine. Eventually, I started embracing it. And as my career started to unfold a little bit, and what I mean by that is I started to get more auditions, more shots at things with the 2 or 3 agencies that I was freelancing with in New York, I said, let me step it up a notch and get training with whoever trained the bigger guys. So a friend of mine who's part of the online community and the voiceover business, Kevin Genus, said, why don't you study with Maurice Tobias? I was like, okay, fine, why the heck not? So Maurice was really what kind of opened my eyes to the promo and trailer, and that's where I've been.
Well, and she's the best. So you learn from the best.
Right. Yeah.
Now I was checking out some of your stuff on your website. You profess to be trilingual. Now that's an interesting concept because we know you do the English stuff and you do Spanish stuff.
Yep.
What's the third leg of the triumvirate here?
Every person who is born in environment like I was, any person of color understands that you kind of adjust your speech in order to let people's guard down in certain arenas. So for me to get opportunities at national network stuff, I had to take on what they call a general market read, with very little regionalism. For me to do the Spanish stuff, I couldn't do it in my own, Dominican lingo, which we kind of tend to have a little bit looser words were almost like an urban type of Spanish within our family anyway. So I had to learn to have a more general Spanish read. But the third one is the urban stuff, which is basically just talking like I'm talking to one of my boys. Basically, almost like I'm talking to you guys, except with a little bit more cursing.
Well, you can actually give us a demonstration, but
Actually, I'm on your website, man. If I could pick like 2 or 3 different things to play for everybody, just to hear your range. Do you have some things that are like, oh, I'd love for you to play this because it really represents me well? Or should I just pick anything?
Yeah, just pick anything. You can click on 3 different things. They'll probably be all different.
I'm on the promos page right now.
Yeah, that's
promos is would you say that's your bread and butter right now?
That's my main brand. Yeah, that's my main thing that I get hired for, and also what people know me more for. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, well here's one for you guys to get you started. Oh, this has a video with it too, so I can swing that in.
Oh, cool.
Bellator's intense. MMA's cool. The new Wednesdays on Comedy Central will have you. DVR new Workaholics are the new series Crawl Show. Now!
Man, let me tell you about that one. Oh,
that's the one I picked of all. Yeah.
Doing that spot. I auditioned for this spot, right? It was my agent here in New York, Buckwald, sends it to me. Hey, Spike TV, who I had done the VGA awards for a couple years back. They want you for this wrestling thing, MMA stuff that they're doing. I said, okay. And they want that wrestling voice. So I was like, okay, I can put on a wrestling voice. So I had my hand, what I don't usually do, had my chest out, glued on some extra chest hair. Not really.
Put on really tight trunks.
Which is what I have now. It's good it's out of frame. And I cut my ear and I started saying, MMA is here, and that was my audition. So it was like this really gravelly voice and this and that, and a lot of impact, but somewhat reserved. And I book it. So I was like, awesome. I nailed it. I booked it. Great. They want you for this time, this date. I get on the phone. I don't know why I'm surprised, right? I mean, everybody knows that the session is never the same as the audition. This guy, the producer, who shall remain nameless, cool guy though, he pushes me and he's like, oh, I need it louder. MMA is here, even louder than that. The new crowd show. And I'm like, I'm getting into this voice and I'm in the back of my head. I was like, these guys are never going to hire me again. So I capture my own stuff on TV, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm listening to it. I record it, DVR it when I think it's going to come on. Then I fast forward through the shows just to get to the commercial pods where they're going to play the promo. I see the spot. I knew it was a cross-network thing that was going to play on Comedy Central. Rewind it. I play it, and I listen to it, and I'm like, man, they replaced me.
Oh, no.
I didn't recognize myself. And so I sent the guy a note, and I was, you know what? You were brilliant because he had the vision. He knew what the video context was. He pushed me there, and it was a lesson to trust the producer. You really have to trust their vision of what they're bringing you on to do. And that was the best. That was a lot of fun. That's why I was laughing about it.
And that. With Comedy Central, they're not afraid to go over the top with it,
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
There was a lot of elements to that. I was like, what the hell is this? But that's the most important thing is that you don't forget the spot, and that's really successful advertising. And with a voice like yours, that helps a lot. Now, are you doing a lot of stuff in Spanish too for other like say for Telemundo or one of the other networks?
I think that the Spanish arena was more my entry into the business.
Yes.
New York. There's not as many Spanish voiceover talent, at the national level as there are, obviously, general market voices. So I think that was my entry into the business. And the fact that I had a Spanish and an urban thing going, they kind of liked that. So they picked me up. So it kind of opened doors for me. It's also how I got in with Paul Wintner, my manager for trailers. In LA at the time they needed an urban voice. Because, hey, Paul's looking for an urban voice. You want to read it? And I was like, yeah. So I read it like myself, and they said, okay, great. They loved it. So that was my entry, I think, the Spanish urban stuff. I don't get to do as much of it now. And oddly enough, on certain cases, they say that my Spanish, which is I have to be conscious of it in order to be able to adjust it again. They say my Spanish sounds a little bit gringo. So I said, I guess as your English gets better, your Spanish gets worse. But I do Spanish for NBA, NBA. What the NBA did, they used to call it NBA in Espanol, and they rebranded it into NBA. They just call it now NBA, and they phonetically spell it out because what they realized was that the Spanish demographic or their Spanish fans were calling it NBA anyway. So they kind of rebranded the NBA into what they actually were calling it. So I do a lot of stuff for them, promos.
Here's a little spot from that, actually. See if it plays.
Oh, fabulous.
No, I don't have a mustache. I don't wear mariachi or flamenco outfits when I go out in the town. Yes, I like salsa music. I like rock too. I am Latino and proud. I am American as well. And though I like football, the one that you play with your feet, I'm 100% basketball. NBA is my game. Passionate, exciting, unpredictable. This is me.
Noche Latina in March. Celebrating your passion.
Oh, look at that. So that was really an English language promo, but for the Hispanic or Latino market.
Yes. And the cool thing about it is those are the best when I can just use my regular, Noche Latina. When I can allow my regionalism, my Spanish, I don't want to say accent because people are going to think it's more, like Antonio Banderas, but it is a Latino-infused English when I can allow that to come through because that's the way I speak. So I love those spots when they allow me to do that stuff. It's just great. Yeah. And the NBA has been a client for a while for me. So when they switched me from NBA TV to being almost unofficially, I can't say officially because then, of course, we have to send them a contract. Unofficially, like the voice of the NBA, that gets me excited because I'm a big NBA fan.
Yeah. So you're a busy guy. It sounds like you're a busy guy, working all the time, but you got a young family too. And I think it's true with a lot of our audience that trying to balance family life and this nutso business, it's got to be a challenge. How do you deal with it? What's your day like, and how do you relate to your family?
It's funny. I think I was kind of forced to adjust to it. You kind of have this plan of how things are going to work out, and you realize because of family, it's such a dynamic thing there. As the kids get older, the dynamics continue to change. I had voiceover in my career at the center of it, and family and everything else around it. That didn't work that well. So now I kind of have family in the middle and voiceover where I can fit it in. So my day has been condensed, if you will, the core of my day anyway. So in the morning, I help my wife, with breakfast, get them dressed, get them off to school, doing drop-offs at a couple of schools at the babysitter because they're 7, 6, and 2 years old. So they're all in different places. Yeah. Yeah. Pray for me.
We are.
I'm telling you. So at that time, I used to get back and try to knock out the auditions by 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. or earlier if it needed to be out, so I can kind of be like an outfielder ready to catch that first hit because I know these things are going to start coming in, especially once 12 or 1 p.m. comes around. LA wakes up. But recently I started doing CrossFit because sitting on my butt for a couple years now kind of got to me. You can't see it.
We cropped it out for your production.
Yes. So I started going to the gym now, so cut my core hours even more. So now I get back from the gym and I have to sit on the couch for 30 minutes recovering, and I get back on mic by 11. By that time, I have several emails. Where are you? Or I needed you for this, or I need you to do this. How quickly can you get it? So my day from 11 to, let's say, 2:30 p.m. is really trying to catch up and trying to fit in whatever comes in during the day, trying to send out auditions that I got to pick up the girls at school, which I don't mind doing, obviously, because I'm blessed to be able to do that,
Sure.
And then we take turns, when my wife can, she picks her up too. But they just, I think to a certain degree, you think that they take it for granted, but they really don't, because from time to time they surprise you and they tell you, Dad, I love spending time with you. Or the day that, for example, the day that I forgot was early dismissal. Yes, I was that guy. And the office calls me, your daughter's here. They got out at 12 noon. It's like 2 o'clock. They never let you forget it. So, they kind of set the day for you. So by 5:30 or 6, or after school, I spend time with them. I jump back on mic between, let's say, 4:30 and 6:30 or 5:30, then take a break for dinner, a couple of hours. And then from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m., it's mostly or all LA stuff, scratches for the home entertainment campaigns of trailers and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's a pretty chopped up, a busy day.
Yeah, that's an East Coast thing. I mean, those of us here in the East, we realize that, there is that morning part, which can be kind of relaxed. And then right around dinner time, it's like, it's time for dinner. You don't understand.
All hell breaks
loose. It's the West Coast.
Right.
This is when things are happening. So I can totally relate.
I used to get upset, stressed out about it, Dan. Just at first, I'm like, I got to get this done. I got to get it out. But now I just, I'm eating with my family. That's what I said about shifting, what's in the middle, and now it's family. So I have to turn it off, put my cell phone down. If I can't stop or not be available for voiceover for at least a couple of hours, then what the heck am I working for,
Right.
I think people can really get into a position where they feel they have to always be available. I spoke to somebody recently. He had me work with him on a Saturday. He says, I'm available. I have to be ready to work from 8 a.m. until something like midnight or something every day of the week, And I'm like, man, isn't there a point where you're making yourself too available?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, even my agent's calls sometime, when I first started, I used to, it's my agent. I got to pick it up. Now I kind of let it go to voicemail because if they have something for me to do, I don't have to run and grab a pen. It's about slowing down a little bit. Now I can just play the voicemail. What do they need? Or if they need me to call them back right away, I will do that.
Right.
But I'm no longer just rushing. I got to pick that up, pick this up. Yeah. You got to live.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our guest is Anthony Mendez. We got lots more. If you've got some questions for Anthony, toss them into the chat room and we'll get him on and learn a little bit more about what his life is like. And we'll all learn from it. So stay tuned. We'll be right back here on East West Audio Body Shop.
VoiceOver Extra, the voiceover industry's online news, education, and resource center 24/7. Hundreds, probably thousands of free how-to articles for voiceover success, ranging from home studio to voice acting to business. A free voiceover industry directory, calendar of industry events, resource links, a store, and much more. Bi-monthly webinars on all topics of voiceover, free subscriptions to newsletters, reports, announcements, daily news, and features at voiceoverextra.com.
Now back to EWABS. Thank Dan and George's wives. For what? You have no idea. Now, here's Dan and George.
That's the bumper I wanted you to use. We have this telepathic connection. It's like, that was the good one.
We're on the same page. 94 shows and we're starting to gel.
We're like we have this connection. Yeah. Anyway. Anthony, welcome back to the show. We've got a few questions from our incredibly huge audience tonight. 27,000 people watch. No, that's the total number. But that's still pretty impressive when you consider. Let's see here. What kind of marketing do you, Steve Tardio asks, what kind of marketing do you do for yourself and your voiceover business? Now, you talked about having an agent. Do you do any stuff on your own and find auditions on your own and stuff?
Not as much anymore. I did start when I first started, like in 04, 05, I had a newsletter, send out emails and things like that. That worked to build up credits, and to radio stations and things like that. But it didn't really work in the arena that I wanted to enter in, which was promos and trailers. For that arena, you just have to be patient and build those relationships. You have to understand that when a particular product wants to cast for their next campaign or spot, they're looking for somebody new. For promos and trailers, they really are not looking for somebody new. You have to kind of be there at the right moment. Just be prepared, of course, and be ready to deliver the goods as good as these guys that are working, 10, like George said, 10, 12 hours a day. But there really is no marketing. I like the idea of just making friends. I mean, what these guys do on the other side of the glass, I find fascinating. Everything from the editor, from the writer, how they can tell a story in a couple of lines, very poetic, in 15, 20, or 30 seconds. 30 seconds are rare nowadays, right?
Right.
And even the motion graphics designers, they take this text and captivate you with the way it moves and it grows. And some of them even just make you sit there watching an opening title sequence with no actors, no dialogue, waiting for that title. What is this gear going to turn into or something? I just find what they do fascinating. So, and having an artistic background, I kind of connect with them on that level. So no, the short answer is I don't really do marketing in that sense. I do a lot of socializing.
A lot of networking.
Even networking has taken a bad, almost built like a bad name saying networking, right? So it seems so formal to me. I just take a more organic approach. I have most of my producer friends on Instant Messenger, because they really have become, a good handful of them have become my friends. So I just make a lot of friends.
Are you using Facebook Messenger or actually AOL Instant Messenger or something like that?
AOL Instant Messenger, yeah, but they connect through iChat and stuff like that. Most of these are online anyway.
Yep.
Yes. So what we're going to start calling it is techno schmoozing and kibitzing.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
The scientific term is that.
Yes, there we go.
Well, speaking of technology, can we talk about your studio?
Yeah.
A little bit about what's going on, dude. You have an engineering background, so I would expect that your studio might be a little bit more complex than others, or do you subscribe to our thought process, which is simpler is better generally?
I subscribe to your thought process. I think the more you know, the less you can do with. So, I don't know if I can filter, but these are my Event 2020s, and the only reason I kept this was because they already had a nice little bottom to it, so they kind of reflect well of, for my bottom end. The Yamaha NS10s, which I used to have, I only had because I could mix the music well in them. I understood how they translated from studio to studio. So since I no longer produce, I got rid of it. Besides, you don't want to have Yamaha NS10s anymore because obviously those tweeters and woofers are hard to come by.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I still run the heart of my studio, and don't laugh, is a Mac G4 733 megahertz.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's running OS 9.
That's the plastic cased Mac that has like a clear smoke colored case with a mirror on the front.
Yeah. I would show it to you, but this thing will fall off the stand. But it is. It's like the Silver Fox or something was the unofficial nickname or something.
It's pretty loud too. Isn't that the one they also called the wind tunnel?
It is pretty loud. I have it encased. I was going to get an ISO box for it.
Yeah.
But when it's something that's really, when they're really peculiar about it, I kind of throw some pillows around it and let it overheat, and it never does. I kid you not. I forget that the pillows are around it. I walk out for lunch. I come back. I was like, oh, my God, the house is going to burn down. But yet it hasn't yet. So I'm going to keep pushing it to see how far I can get it.
Over-engineered. That's what that means, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And so then you're... Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, no. That computer, it's the Motorola chip that's in it.
Yep. PowerPC.
The Intel. Those things were like, they're rock solid machines. So it's a double boot. I could do OS 10 in it if I wanted to, but it's just, I just have no time to learn or change stuff. It's working now. I am going to, ever since I got the HBO contract, I am going to invest some of that money into getting a new setup, only because now I've seen what the plugins can do. I want to get rid of some of this outboard gear that I have. So anyway, to continue on your question, I have the Behringer MDX 2200, the Composer Pro. I use a slight expander gate on it. It's a cheap unit. It's like, you get it for like what, $80, $75 now. I think it was like $113, $125. Only because I've always recorded with it, and I understood how far I can push the expander on it.
Right.
Which you shouldn't really push it obviously too far, but I kind of know my noise floor.
Yep.
Since I'm working in an untreated room, people can walk by my window. I'm on the first floor. Somebody can walk by with a basketball, and it won't pick it up. And of course, the 416, which you guys were talking about, is my mic of choice. That's why I wish I could show it to you. It's somewhere over here. And I took the windscreen. By the way, you guys were talking about the windscreen.
Yep.
When I remove it, I do hear it brighten up a little bit, which I kind of like.
Oh,
so
clearly.
I pull back the EQ. And after doing some research on how the wave canceling works with the side vents, I realized that without the windscreen, it actually cancels more noise. Just because of the way the wave cancellation on those vents work. So,
yeah. What do you have to set your expander setting to your threshold?
I go by what I hear
Right.
more than the actual setting.
Right.
So I kind of just look at the meter, look at the gauge, and I can let it flicker. But on average, a starting point, I have it no more than maybe 1.5 or 2 to 1.
2 to 1, right. Yeah.
If that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because again, it's not basically to close it out and open; it's just to reduce it a little bit.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's to level things out. So but 2 to 1, that's very subtle. And I think people need to understand that any processing you do, whether it's in pre, which we don't generally preach very much here, or if you do it in post, these are subtle changes. These are not like driving something to make it exceedingly loud or to really not so much distort, but really not present you as you really exist. At 2 to 1, you're not really affecting it that much. You're just keeping the peaks from getting too
Cleaning
hot.
things up a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep. I actually record 2 tracks for every time I do a session. One is totally dry, and one is I hate to say processed because people think again that it's this thing, but it really is just a slight compression with some roll off.
Mm-hmm. And then, so you obviously are tuning everything by ear. So do you actually work with your headphones on as well, or do you like to take them off when you're actually doing?
I have one on, one off.
Yeah.
Only because I realized I needed to get used to having one on for phone patches and ISDNs.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to give 2 different performances having one off, and I know I can probably give a better performance with it completely off. But there is something to be said about being able to control what you're playing, almost like a musician can, or an artist that's performing live hears it in their ears. So there's something to be said about being able to control, not being too conscious of it. Obviously, if you're too conscious of it, you're going to disconnect from the material. But there's something to be said about being able to control your mic technique a little bit. When you get a little bit of feedback.
So you're dual tracking in Pro Tools, so that you have a track without effects and one with or something?
And one with, yeah.
Gotcha.
And 99%, initially I gave the producers a choice. I gave you 2, pick one. They always ended up picking the processed one. So I now just keep the totally dry one in case it ever gets kicked back. And they tell me, hey, can you send this without really anything? I'm on to you. Or something. Really? Yeah.
I'm on to you. Right.
Interesting. Very interesting. We've been waiting to ask this one. Now, I know where you live. At least I have a pretty good idea. Were you affected by the storm at all?
Sandy.
Sandy. I wasn't this time, knock on wood. There was a storm that passed through here about a year or 2 before Sandy that really did knock us out for about a week. But this one, I was blessed. I was very lucky. And I think it had to do because with the previous storm, prior to Sandy, everything went down. Transformers, lines, trees, and they threw up totally new wires. So maybe in my area, I don't know. I know nothing about power other than the fact that mine stayed on, thank God. But I saw the devastation and just a couple of blocks from here, by my daughter's schools where they were out for a week or so. And I have to say, I was just very lucky. It was a miracle that I lost no ISDN, no phone service, no internet. It was just great. Yeah.
How has ISDN been for you in regards to stability? And, I know that in your region that Verizon's not going to be installing it anymore after May 18th. And does that make you shake in the boots a little bit? Or you're like,
I'm recruiting
whatever
a couple guys to go over to the Verizon offices.
With some baseball bats?
Hey, you need some ISDN. Forget about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I use EDNet out in California. So whatever magic they happen to be able to create. Here's a little insight. I used to work for Verizon, but I can't say too much, right? Because of what I signed. I have no idea what it was. But before I left, they had the CLECs, or the CLECs, as some people call them, the competitive local exchange carriers. These carriers are basically competitive phone companies that really are using the major telcos lines or switches. Because of certain state or federal regulations, they have to give those CLECs, those competitors, priority when it comes to repair or service. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that EDNet is operating as a competitive local exchange carrier. So any issues I ever have with Verizon, EDNet somehow magically gets it done. And I think that's part of how they do it. The news that came out recently, you guys were talking about it, about them not installing new ISDN lines. I don't know what I would do. Obviously, with OS 9, you can't use Source Connect.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be forced to use it. I don't have it at all, and I have nobody that's ever asked me to use it. But I'm going to have to, if that, I don't know. Let's not talk about it.
If we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. Right.
Everybody's pretty interested in that one. Yeah. Well, Anthony, it's been fabulous having you on this week, and we're glad you were able to change your schedule around to be on with us this particular week. And it sounds like you have a fascinating career going, and good luck to you in the future. And I look forward to hearing you all over the place.
And thank your wife for us.
You guys.
Yes,
I watch the show every week, by the way, so I'm not just on here as a guest. I really am a fan of the show. You guys are doing great work.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. Anthony Mendez, thanks for being with us. All right, we got more coming up here, buddy. Too. All right. We still have more to do.
Yeah, we do, man.
It just never ends. Well, it does.
Yes, thank you. It does end eventually.
Right. And then the week starts. Boy, I'm all elongated here. What's going on here?
I'm working on it.
Okay. Anyway, that was great having Anthony on. He had some great insight into, especially when you're talking about the telco stuff. It's like, what?
Oh, yeah. He knows.
I know you understand that, but
he knows some of the behind the scenes. Somebody just joined here in the studio.
Oh, hello again, Ella. Hi. It is Mother's Day, so she is entitled.
Are you feeling better now, Ella?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about Harlan Hogan. Can you say Harlan Hogan?
Harlan Hogan.
All right, that was $1 million read right there. Let's talk about Harlan Hogan and voiceover essentials. He has everything you could possibly need for voiceover. Everything. Every last thing. And he's picked it out personally for you. If you go over to voiceoveressentials.com, you'll see some of the fabulous stuff that he's picked out. That is his own signature series stuff, like the VO1A microphone, great voiceover microphone. We talked about the headphones last week, the Harlan Hogan signature series, and the actual name is signature series voice optimized headphones. And a lot of other great stuff too. But you can also get some mainline stuff there. He has connections with other retailers. It's all in his catalog there. And if you go over to voiceoveressentials.com, you can see the things that he has there. Let's surf through there a little bit and see what else is going on there. Home studio hardware. Click on that one. We've got the Portabooth Plus, an adjustable desktop mic stand. And the new Portabooth Plus comes with a great carrying case too, which I actually used when I went up to Voice World in Toronto, and also mud flaps, the ABS, the thing that will hold your boom stand properly if you've got like a really heavy mic on. See, I like this 416 because it's nice and light, makes a big difference, and and of course. He's got booms. He's got everything you could possibly need right there over there at voiceoveressentials.com.
Sorry.
I'm getting feedback.
Oh, the speakers are on in here. Sorry about that.
Okay. Batting second. Anyway, aside from great pictures there, he's got great stuff. So go on over to voiceoveressentials.com and order your great voiceover stuff from the great one, Harlan Hogan. Thank you, Harlan, for being with us since the beginning, all 90, well, not 94. He's been with us at least 90 episodes, I think.
Yes, he has. Thanks, Harlan. We really appreciate your long-term support. You've been with us since the beginning and always there. Thank you, buddy.
It makes a big difference. All right, where are we? Well, we've got time to talk about some other stuff.
Exactly. Well, I did want to bring in my family at least. You know what the heck?
It is Mother's Day.
They are here. Let's bring them in. They're in the living room, so that means in about 5 seconds they'll hear me say this on Ustream, and they'll start getting themselves up and coming in here. So they'll be here in a minute. But while in the meantime, someone asked about. Susan asked, please tell us what kind of boom arm I'm using. Oh, okay. This particular boom arm is one that I got on eBay, actually. It happens to be one that I like because of its very affordable price, but it also is made like a tank. And the thing is, they're not on there all the time. They sometimes don't. They sometimes don't stay in stock over there. So it's they come and go. But the brand is under Crusher. I guess it's called a crusher because if you put your finger in the wrong place when you're folding this thing, it will literally crush your finger. But
like
that
sheet.
Leonard Fan Club hour.
Yay! All right.
Hey, they're all here.
All right, ukulele.
Hello, Danny. Hello, Danny. Hello. Get Ella's picture.
I'm in awe.
Do I look like Dan? Here's the hurt one, Dan. We're going to Disneyland tomorrow. I'm going to put her in a box
with wheels on.
Hi, everybody out there. It's Trumpet Guy.
Tropical.
And I see.
Tropical shirts.
There's the camera.
There, Daniel.
There's the camera.
Oh boy, I am in awe, and I am honored. I mean, with all the crazy stuff people send me, this is going to be one of the highlights. So, especially with the ukulele, which is great. Happy Mother's Day. It's wonderful to see you again. Of course, now, even though you're injured, you now have the distinction of being on as many times as my mom, because she wasn't with us when we were at the DFL last summer, and my mom was on there. I'm like, oh, no, your mom's going to be really jealous. So now you get your own spot here.
Well, it's really fun to have my family visiting. You want to stand up, Ella, so they can see you too?
Please.
Stand up on the stool.
Ta-da!
Yay!
Hi.
Where's your mustache, Ella?
Yeah, Diane's wondering, where's your mustache?
Oh, you can use mine.
Somebody got a comb?
It's on the floor.
Well, keep up the good work, Dan. I watch it every week, and great to see all the people out there giving you support. And send money.
Please, so my kid stops bumming money off of me.
Suddenly it's a telethon. All righty.
We love Ella.
You're supposed to say we love Dan.
Oh, happy Mom's Day, wherever they are.
Yes.
Happy.
Thanks for coming in, you guys.
All right.
Will you take Ella? Oh, yeah, one bad arm.
I one bad.
Okay, Ella. We're going to wrap up the show, and I'll be right out.
What a guy.
I'll be right out, honey, really soon.
Did they hear
I
what
know.
said?
I'll be right there.
Did they hear what I said?
Yep, they heard what you said, Mom. Good job.
All right. You never know what's going to happen.
Oh, baby. That was fun.
That was great. I am honored. You just try to create an image for yourself, and you never think people are just going to go, oh, I want to be like that. I'm like, I don't even want to be like that, but they want to be like that. That's great.
Oh, my gosh. That was fun.
Alrighty.
Fun. Well, what's the latest? This week, I've been very preoccupied. That's why.
And why is that?
They got here Tuesday, and they've been having a lot of fun, and it's not often they get to visit. Less than maybe once every year and a half for 2 years. So, we had a lot of fun, and I made myself a lot of holes in the schedule so I could spend time with them. And so I wasn't scouring the internet like I usually do for the latest tech news and stuff. But I do have a couple more NAMM show clips if you guys want to indulge. If I can indulge you, or what is it? You indulge me, I indulge you. I can never figure out how you
actually, no, they'd be indulging you in the pleasure of seeing these videos that you have taken the time out of your busy schedule to produce for us so we can see the marvelous technology that was at NAMM.
Yes, at least I have a couple more videos you haven't seen that I think may be interesting. So I'll drop them in here for you guys to see these. We can discuss them, and then whatever else you guys can think of that you want us to talk about, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
So here, the first one is from SE Electronics, and they are showing off a microphone that is a sort of a retro design that's meant to sound a lot like the original AKG C414 EB, the one that was the brass capsule one that's now highly coveted and often sold for well north of $2,000 on online. So we'll start off with that one, and then we'll move into whatever else I can find for you guys. So here we go, SE4400A.
Hi, this is Jonathan Pines with SE Electronics. Today one of the things I'm showing is our great 4400A microphone. It's a multi-pattern microphone, 4 patterns, comes with actual switches, not a digital switch. It's matte black, so you can use it on stage and in videos. It's got Class A electronics and a hand-assembled, hand-tuned brass capsule. Made the old way. This is what the classic all-arounder really started out with the 414. The idea here was to make an updated version of a pre-1981 414.
So it has a relatively smooth top end, not
Very
a lot of
smooth
presence.
top end. Instead of that 5 to 6K peak that you see in the current model, it's got a very smooth mid-range with a slight bump up and around 10 to 11K.
And what's the price point?
Price point on this, US map on this is $749, although we've had a map drop to $649.
Oh, wow. Okay. Great. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, Scott Bolin from Reading Audio, US and Canada distributor for Ryco products, amongst many brands. We're here for NAMM showing our lyre mounts, the USM, which is a universal studio mount for microphones. The USM benefits from Ryco's lyre technology, and the lyre technology is a unique patented type of technology that they've had for about 5 years now, which is across the entire Ryco range. And it doesn't use rubber or elastics as a means of suspending, which do deteriorate quite quickly. It uses a high trail-based material in a very, very special shape, which forms the lyre. And as you can see in the video right here, this is our USM Lite. The red lyres refer that it's for lighter microphones like a TLM 103. And it works on a special principle that in like kind of three-dimensional space, X, Y, and Z axis, the microphone is only going to be compliant to where you're singing into. So it's completely stiff from side to side and up and down, which gives you about 25 to 30 dB more isolation than you would with a rubber or elastic mount. So it's pretty special. It works as promised, and great thing is that it's universal. So for almost, say, 90% of the microphones in existence, we have a mount for it. And we do have an integrated pop filter that's optional to get on there. Uses special material that's completely transparent, as you can see here. And the pop filter just attaches to our mount, but also too, if you do have a wireframe classic like Neumann type mount, it will work with that as well. And it just pops down right here, screws right down, you're good to go.
And what's the street price on the shock mount?
The shock mounts themselves are $119, and you can get the pop filter with it as a kit for $150. So it's a pretty impressive performance for the price. Thank you.
Hi, Edwin here from JZ Microphones Latvia. I want to tell you about our flagship microphone. It's our BH series microphone, BH1S. BH stands for black hole microphones. As you see, there's a hole in the middle. I'll get to that later. So yeah, the microphone has two switches. One switch is for the polar patterns, 3 polar patterns: omni polar pattern, cardioid, and figure of 8, obviously. And the second switch is for basically decibels, -10 decibels, -20 decibels. You know, yeah, the hole in the middle, that's the big deal. You know, when you record against the flat surfaces, the sound can bounce between and create an unwanted stuff there. So the whole kind of takes care of that. The sound just goes through, and you get basically the better sound, closer to perfection. It's also, the microphone itself is very crisp sounding, and well, yeah, people that tested it, the microphone is amazing. Everybody loves it. As far. So basically, that's it about the microphone. My name is Edwin. I'm from JZ Microphones. You can come at our webpage, jzmic.com. Check us out.
Boy, his English was fabulous, I gotta say.
It's actually pretty good. He's been doing that trade show circuit for several years. I've seen him.
I imagine he has. Well, we had a couple of questions while we were watching the NAMM stuff.
We did? Okay.
Yeah, well, people were asking about how do you mount a 416? Now you can get an expensive mount for like $100.
One leg at a time.
Yes. But if you look at the mount here, I'll actually move the camera and you can see it's a regular clip. And that's how I'm using it. That's the one that came with it. And you know, the thing is when I bought this last week and I threw it into my studio back into my booth here, I turned off the phantom power, I plugged it in, turned the phantom power on. I did not have to adjust the levels or anything. It was already set perfectly. You know, I knew aim it at your nose. And I haven't had to do anything with it, including having to worry about a shock mount. So you can go out and spend $100 on a shock mount for a 416, and 50. Or 50, and say I have a $50 or $100 shock mount. Or you can use the clip that came with it and not worry about it, because you know a shock mount is for this particular mic, because it's really good at canceling stuff and doesn't really take vibration from anywhere. I don't see the point.
You know, I find that the shock mount is not as necessary for this microphone as it is for other kinds, and partially because it doesn't have a lot of really low-end frequency response like a large diaphragm condenser does, and also because you tend to use a high-pass filter to clean up the bottom end anyway. So for those two reasons, it's probably not as necessary as you might think to use a shock mount with this. Mine is on a shock mount. I'll swing it around. I'm not even going to tell you what this shock mount is because I honestly don't know. I rigged this shock mount up to this mic. This was from my own rig when I was doing film sound mixing. I was using an AT4073A Audio-Technica shotgun mic, and this was a shock mount I rigged up at least 7, 8, 9 years ago. I don't remember what it was.
Hey, show them your T-shirt.
My T-shirt? Oh, okay. Okay, so my dad went to a flea market, one of those flea markets where you can have someone custom silk screen a shirt for you.
Airbrush, yeah.
Yeah, or no, airbrush, right. So this is what he came up with.
It doesn't look like a 416, that's for sure.
No,
he wanted it.
Looks like something completely different.
He wanted it to look like a 416, and in the end, it didn't look like anything like a. In fact, it hardly looks like a microphone at all. Yeah, no. A bit phallic is understatement.
But it is in a shock mount.
It is in a shock mount, yeah. The guy really put a lot of effort into it. But then my dad had to retouch it himself a little bit to not make it look even less. Never mind. It's so ridiculous. When I look at it on camera, it looks even worse.
I think maybe why don't you just put one of these on it?
It needed one of those, that's right.
It looks like a Telefunken U47.
Hey, I have to tell you.
Well said, Jim Egger.
I just want to say before I split out of here, if you guys ever could see what I'm looking at here from this vantage point, I've never seen so much pieces of equipment in one small space in my life. The reason why George is really standing is because it takes 3 tables of gear underneath to control it. And he does it without looking, too, which is absolutely amazing.
All right, well, let's be honest. Most of this equipment is not at all being used for the show.
Oh, well, then screw it.
I have a lot of gear under here, and most of it's not being used for the show.
And yeah, come to think of it, now it's not all lit up, is it?
No, most of it's just for show, just for my own. Okay. No, actually, clients give me stuff all the time. I'm like the home studio Sanford and Son. So I have a lot of gear around.
Very good. See you next week, folks. See you next week from Pennsylvania.
Back in the chat room.
Guy.
Back in the chat room with you, Dad.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Don't step on Ella on the way out.
I know.
Who's decorating the office with Post-it notes right now? Oh man, well that's it for me. I'm spent.
And you should be after this week. And I got a busy week ahead. So anyway, but we still have lots of people to thank. Well, next week though, and you got to tune in next week because I mean I have a matinee next Sunday afternoon, but I will be here and then we gotta strike the set, which will be fun.
Well, it works out well that you're on the East Coast though.
It does. And I will, of course, will be here next week because I have to be here because our good personal friend, Bob Sauer, will be here. And you do not want to miss that. We're not sure what Bob wants to talk about, but he sure is a great guy, and it doesn't matter. So we'll just talk about him and all the stuff that he does, and maybe he'll give us one of his golden nuggets or two, which is actually worth 5 or 6 if you've ever listened to Bob. Then on May 26th, we're going to have another Google Hangout. The last one was fabulous. You want to be part of this one, so email us at ewabshop@gmail.com and get your reservation in there. I changed the way we did that, and we filled up the room real fast last week, so maybe I'll stick to that format on that.
Sure.
Let's see. Closing remarks. Of course, we want to thank our wives, which we've already done, but our wives and the mothers of our children, and Kathy Curran, our wonderful producer who helps get people like Anthony Mendez in here, Anthony Gettig for minding the chat room and helping me out last week at FaffCamp by manning the studio suit booth, Jason Lawson and Lee Pinney also for their production assistance. Thanks, guys. Also, Larry Hudson and Sylvia McClure. If you got the email earlier today, you heard one of the pieces they did on technophilia.
Yeah, they got some new ones coming in. I'll make sure I get them on the next show.
Yes. And of course, Larry Davis and Elizabeth Rosemary Benson for just sit back and listen to the announcements, and also for all the other bumpers and drops that we get from people. And we want to hear from you. You know, Larry and Sylvia sent us something this week, so why can't you? That's what we are. We're professional communicators and entertainers and stuff.
Use it as an opportunity to have some fun, polish your production chops, and get your name out on another little network.
That's right. So we really appreciate that. But most of all, on today like today, we want to thank our moms for making this all possible and guiding us in the right direction so we end up doing what we love to do.
No doubt.
Helping you guys out and also having fun with audio.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, Mom. Hopefully she's watching out there somewhere. Anyway, I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam with my Whittam family in the West.
And together we all are
East-West Audio Body Shop.
All right, you have a good week.
Everybody have a great week. Thanks for watching.
Tonight.
Take care.